a quick but accurate summary of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey in under 10 minutes and without Star Wars examples by your host, Jen Whitfield. Here we go. Joseph Campbell published his roughly 350-page book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces, in 1949 on the universal elements of myth. It became known as The Hero's Journey or the monomyth. Campbell provides a framework to identify common elements that frequently appear in myth and summarizes it in the keys. The monomyth is heavily influenced by Freudian psychoanalysis and follows his theory of childhood development and personality. Like Freud, Campbell emphasizes subconscious drivers of motivation to reconcile the Oedipus complex with the mother and father. There is also a sprinkling of Carl Jung's mysticism, including archetypes. Campbell uses a 3-act structure or rites of passage with a cyclical nature that he further breaks into individual stages that may or may not be present. In each act, the hero finds himself in uncharted territory and cannot rely on his previous knowledge. Unable to guide himself, he must rely on spiritual helpers. As soon as the hero completes one full story, the ending of the cycle harkens the beginning of a new one, which he calls the nuclear unit of the monomyth. Act 1's separation has 5 subsections, beginning with the call to adventure. The hero has a date with destiny. He leaves the familiar toward adventure, willingly or by some method of force. According to Campbell, boys dream of a new world orientation, while girls dream of friends who died of consumption. Symbols acknowledge the vocation of the hero, such as a blunder, an animal who awakens a rite of passage, such as a frog to represent the serpent. Death, rebirth, and transformation are symbolized by the call of the dark forest. In refusal of the call, the hero resists leaving his or her known world of customs. Rather than a necessary stage, this is actually the end of the story, like a short nursery rhyme. For example, Briar Rose, Sleeping Beauty, she falls asleep, which Campbell describes as acting like a victim. The king and queen are protecting her as guardians until the prince awakens her. The virgin seeks the safety of the father, timidly avoiding the lover. The boy, unable to shed his mother, refuses the marriage, which is a refusal and a failure to proceed on the journey, to observe archetypal knowledge, resulting in madness, isolation, and solitude, to ponder the mysteries of life, such as Rumpelstiltskin or Tangled. Supernatural aid. If the hero accepts the call, a protective figure provides amulets of safety, such as the fairy godmother who gives Cinderella a carriage to bring her home, or Jack finds magic beans. Not all heroes willingly accept the call, some have to be pulled in. The aid only appears to a willing hero, not one who remains asleep. There are a few exceptions, such as the djinn and the Persian prince. The crossing of the first threshold. The hero crosses into the unknown, where he confronts a shadow guard on the threshold of adventure. In an overtly dangerous form, like an ogre or a covertly dangerous seductress, the danger here is in contrast to the previous guardian, such as the giant in Jack and the Beanstalk or a siren. The ogre or seducer can be tamed and outwitted through skill or knowledge. Once in the unknown, the hero is no longer guided by the 5 senses and can see God. The implication is that the hero has to go it alone. Transformation has already begun, akin to threading the eye of the needle. The story goes in one of 2 directions. The hero defeats the guard in the form of dragon, brother, offering, or charm, or he is slain, resulting in dismemberment or crucifixion. The initial call to adventure takes the potential form of threshold crossing, brother, battle, dragon battle, dismemberment, crucifixion, addiction, night sea journey, wonder journey, or whale's belly. And then the belly of the whale is a separate described stage. As with rebirth, the hero enters the womb of the world. The threshold symbolizes self-annihilation of the ego. The hero goes inward, experiencing a type of death to be born again, such as literally swallowed by a whale in an Inuit tale. The raven makes fire, killing the whale and ensuring his own release. Undergoing a sacred union, example, entering into the fellowship of the ring in Lord of the Rings. A sacred marriage to reconcile the male and female psyche. Act 2, trials and victories of initiation. Below the threshold, as a representation of the subconscious, are tests and helpers with 6 subsections. Again, they do not all have to happen. At the midpoint, the hero reaches a triumph or climax, which is an unusual placement for the climax of the story. The triumph occurs as a sacred marriage, atonement with the father, apotheosis, or elixir theft. There is some inconsistency between the initial description and the later summary in the keys. The road of trials. In a typical story structure, this is understood as fun and games where the bulk of the action occurs, but Campbell's approach is psychoanalytical. At the beginning of a new act, the hero regresses to a childlike infancy, dissolving the old self in ego death. When the hero finds his shadow self, he realizes they are one and the same. The hero is tested and may receive magical aid, covertly aided by his supernatural guide. The aid can't do everything. This is, after all, the hero's journey. Meeting with the goddess. Now that the hero has regressed to infancy, Campbell minimizes the role of the goddess to the mother in the Oedipus complex. She is his nurturer. The central axis of his character is the mother, symbolized by the breast. Yeah, I know. Woman is temptress. The hero conquers his mommy issues by dominating her in the sacred marriage so he can see his father as an equal. You can see why most interpretations leave this part out. Atonement with the father. The hero realizes that he villainized his own father as a mirrored reflection of his own ego, which previously showed up as an ogre. When the hero abandoned his own self, he created a superego perceived as God, who is now merciful. Sin became repressed id. The hero can forget about his mother and shift his focus to the phallus, which is, obviously the important part. Apotheosis. The hero becomes a god, reconciling the male and female aspects of self. The ultimate boon. If this occurs at the midpoint as a climax, it results in elixir theft, since the hero has not yet completed his trials. If he accomplishes what he is destined to, the hero receives the ultimate boon or elixir without delay or further obstacles, indicating he is the chosen one. Campbell then contradicts himself a little, stating that gods are custodians of the elixir and the hero must trick them. The magical elixir can be a physical object or something less tangible like wisdom. Think Thor in Magic and Thunder when he tricks Zeus for the lightning rod. Psychoanalysts really like their phallic shapes. Act 3. Return and reintegration with society. The hero once again crosses the threshold out of the mysterious subconscious and must reconcile the two selves together. If the hero skipped over the challenges, he will be blasted from within and crucified. Act 3 is divided into 6 subsections. The hero will either return, experience resurrection, rescue, or struggle to cross the threshold. Refusal of the return, world denied. After the quest is accomplished, the hero should return with his trophy or elixir and share his knowledge. A reluctant hero may not want to return or will be unable to impart wisdom. Magic flight. The return home does not come without its challenges and is transformational in itself. If the hero earned his victory, the gods will grant favor and ensure return with the magic elixir. If they do not grant their favor, the ending is a comedy or folly, leaving the objects behind. In the summary provided in the keys, the flight occurs in Act 2, not in Act 3 as it is described earlier. Rescue from without. The external world forces the hero's return, perhaps out of jealousy. The hero has not yet incorporated his boon. If his return is premature, the gods will intervene. Campbell seems to describe rescue from without as an alternative or failure. Should the hero return for his magical items, it will cost him dearly. Crossing of the return threshold. The divide between divine and human is not real, but according to Campbell, it is a remembering to knit the worlds together. If the hero faces challenges upon return, the story is a threshold struggle. Master of the two worlds. Once he crosses the threshold, the hero begins a new phase of life where he must integrate the lessons he learned from the shadow self, what Nietzsche would call the cosmic dancer. Emphasis is on the elixir or knowledge gained. Freedom to live, nature of ultimate boon. The hero is reborn and the old self can no longer exist. Nothing returns in its original form, but nature makes a new one. What matters here is how the hero will use it and whether or not society will accept the hero reborn, example, resurrection. So there you have it, often referenced but rarely understood. The hero's journey has been adopted into storytelling, for better or worse, as the foremost authority on myth, narrative, and story structure.